Hey guys, how's it going? It is May the 12th, 2000, May the 12th. Sorry, this is the French way of doing things in Canada. I don't know why they do that. It's December 5th, 2017. May the 12th, I wish. Ay, ay, ay. Wonder if I've ever made that mistake and not noticed it. Anyways, just checking my levels here. Why I don't do that before I hit record, but anyways. We are here. So, wanted to I wasn't too sure how I wanted to do this tonight or how I want to address the elephant in the room or whatever. I've already posted enough messages about it. I honestly I really didn't want to talk about this. And I will briefly mention it, but um I think it's important, at least especially for those who have, I membership. I am getting a lot of support, and it's not necessarily coming in forums. It's often coming in emails. It's often coming in new subscribers, and unfortunately, the I have a tendency of speaking my mind and burning bridges. That's just the way I am. I try not to be phony. I try not to be someone who's going to beat around the bush. If something's on my mind, I'm going to say it. I think that's pretty honest. Gets me into a lot of trouble, but I think it's pretty honest. If I'm stressed out, I'm going to show you I'm stressed out. If I'm pissed off, I'm going to show you I'm pissed off. Right now, I'm frustrated, but it's got nothing to do with really anything other than going through the motions at this point. There's a lot that I have to look in the mirror. There's a lot that I have to decide what I want to do. But I wanted to take you back into 2017. And it all starts with Run 8. Because Run 8, with the exception of my son, is what revolves around me. It was the major thing. That's been gone. That's gone. That's not an easy pill to swallow. And I've slowly but slowly been not so much, even with other servers going their separate ways. I was already in a position where I was trying to find my own path, trying to find something different because it wasn't where where we were once were. And I'll take you through this tonight, and hopefully you'll get a better understanding of why I do the things I do, why I feel the way I feel, why I'm a minority in this. And I know I'm a minority. I've always been a minority. RTS has always been a minority in the Run 8 community. We're a micro niche of a niche. That's what I've always, well, we're a micro niche of a micro niche of a niche, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you think of trains themselves and train simulations, that's its own little micro or niche. And then you got the micro niche having Run 8, which, despite the fact my feeling of it still being the best train simulator on the planet, it's not the best railroad simulator. I gave that distinction a long time ago to either Freight Yard Manager or Yard Duty or whatever, because they're very, very similar, both of them. I believe they're the best railroad simulator out there, and I've never taken that distinction away, despite the fact that I haven't used Freight Yard Manager or Yard Duty since I started Run 8. And I may be reverting back to something similar to that. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what 2018 goes. But let me take you back into 2017. The best way to do it is to go through the Run 8 website. Now, you'll notice the font has changed. That was one of the things that caught my attention. Now, what led me to the website was actually news of a new Christmas or pre-Christmas free bonus pack, which Run 8 has always been gracious enough to provide to its users. They've always given a little bit extra free. Of course, they've had free updates for a long time, and I guess sometimes you get a little spoiled by that, including myself. And as a fan, I've always I understand it's a business. I get that. I've heard people defending, that it's a business. I understand that. I've defended Run 8 with the same argument. But I want to take you through 2017 and where this all goes. So here's a new free download pack, and this is, I don't know who does this, and that's a huge compliment to these guys. I don't know too many other places that do this. So I mean, yeah, it's a skin. You could say, okay, I downloaded it. I haven't used it yet. I haven't opened Run 8 since probably a week ago. So, that's where I stand right now. I was supposed to do a session on Sunday. That ain't happening. I was going to do a session on Monday. I was going to join a session. I really didn't feel like it. I ended up watching YouTube and falling asleep on the couch. Ditto, almost ditto tonight. Well, actually, sorry, Sunday was the same thing. Almost ditto tonight until I decided, instead of watching YouTube, maybe I should make a video and just keep you guys up to date, especially when I had 6, and it's not a big deal, but 6 likes is a big deal for me because that's a little bit higher than normal. I got 100 views on a video that I did back on the 30th. So that's pretty good. I mean, I'm routinely getting about 100 views on the more popular videos, and that was the direction that I had moving forward. And I think some of it in that video was some of my frustrations with Run 8 as well, so maybe that was the reason why that got me into hot water, because it's become popular. I wouldn't say it's viral by any means. There's nothing I have that's viral. I think one of the more popular videos, though, I have ever had is how excited I was when version 2 was released. And let me just see that. I don't know if I can go to that for a second. Let me just verify that. So I'm live now. Let me go into my channel for a second and just see. So we got the uploads here. No. I thought it was. I guess it isn't. Creating MSTS concepts without using the concepts editor. Okay, well that's 5 years ago. Wow, 3,400 views. Man, I should have got into it. So it is there. As you can see, the more recent video, there's 11 hours. Wow. Some TD3 stuff. I don't know why toning the external dispatcher 4 years ago got such a hit, but it did. But Run 8 version 2 is here. So 1 year ago. Part 1 Introduction to AI. I was going to do a tutorial series and then I just stopped it. Run 8 switchless tutorial 5 years ago. So I just passed over the 500 video mark. I think I'm at video 504 now or something like that, give or take. But anyways, I don't want to go, this isn't about my YouTube channel. I'm not worried about that. I appreciate the support and continued support, and if you're a new subscriber, I appreciate it. I am going to broaden things up. It's not just going to be about Run 8. Every now and then I'm going to veer into politics. Every now and then I'm going to veer into philosophy, all kinds of things. But at some point, this is still my passion, and it's not necessarily going to be Run 8, but it will be something along those lines. But I'll get into that shortly. So that's basically the homepage. Recommend you guys checking it. From the Run 8 team. Now, Um, I'll deal with the elephant real quickly here, and I've already posted about it. I'm just gonna say this and leave it because I really don't want to go too deep into it. I assume this was coming because I knew as soon as I started getting critical that more than likely this was going to happen. And it's happened before, and I'm at the point now where I just don't care. It doesn't really matter to me because, well, not about us. This is the community websites, and there's got to be about a dozen communities out there. We had the privilege of still being listed as a community, despite the fact that our 24/7 servers have been. We do not have an actual 24/7 server, but we were still community, and not everything here is servers. You got. I checked this site out, Crossbuck, tonight. I've seen it before. You know, list a few servers. Run 8 servers is a very, I think, within the depot category. Highball Run 8 appears to be very popular. I'm not too familiar with Callboard, although I have heard of it. And then there's a whole whack of other ones. I'd go to Run 8 servers. Fortunately, that's listed. Fortunately, we're still there. Despite any differences that I have with the depot, we are still there. So I appreciate their support and continued support. I appreciate the fact that I'm still on YouTube. So, you know, I don't know when TSCAD's coming. I don't even know if that website's even updated, to be quite honest, and I haven't heard anything more about it. So I don't think it's a matter of something being dead or slow in the water why we're off this list. There's a reason why we're not on this list. And it is the opinions expressed by yours truly is likely the cause. But I want to go into press releases. So we got the update from December 4th. I want to take you through 2017. In fact, wow, we're going to go all the way back to April 29th, 2016. This is where they're talking about version 2. So the buzz for version 2 started actually a lot earlier than in 2016. So there was quite a bit of, we were basically on and off in the past of having, you know, we had our dedicated users. I had my own 24/7 server at one time. I gave up the 24/7 server to try to pursue the program. Ultimately, to start pursuing other servers, etc. The RTS software is not compatible with version 2. We could have made it compatible. I chose not to. I was willing to, if Ski was interested in doing it, I had no problems. And now we have somebody else who's developing something like RTS, but probably even better based on what they liked about RTS 1. Of course, that feeds off of my original interest in some of the programs for Microsoft Train Simulator. But that screen on the bottom right, out of all those screens, was the one that got me most excited. And you can go back to the YouTube channel and you will find somewhere after April 29th of 2016, I was elated by that screen. Now, I had heard, I don't know why this didn't happen, but this is what looks like to be a classic TD3 generation of train spawns. And I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, it basically was not included in version 2. So I went from the excitement and the joy of thinking, wow, this thing's going to be included in Run 8 version 2, to finding out that it wasn't there. But it really didn't dismay me because because ultimately at the time, Run 8 version 2 was so hot. And it was as long as we had a lot of people, which we did at the time under Mike's California server, we had enough people in key positions. Seligman sub was not out yet. We had enough people in key positions where things kept on going. So that for me was the peak of Run 8. Ever since around that time when people got busy or other things were happening, or even maybe a combination of other people having to do other things, or a combination of not being able to do other things, always feeling that, maybe doing it too much. I don't know what exactly might be the thing is, but suddenly that you lost all this excitement. Of course, the dogs are playing upstairs now. What else is new? But it was a bit of a letdown. But then it became. I always heard that there was something quote unquote mo beta that was supposed to come in. And I've heard rumors that that's coming sooner than later, but I don't know for sure because all it is rumors. Editors, John was posted somewhere on Facebook about letting the editors or having the editors available. He posted that a few months ago. I haven't heard anything else. Nothing on this site indicates anything that's coming. It's just basically what has happened on every update. So, people have said a lot has happened this past year. Well, you can see, now I'd have to go back, but you can see that there was a lot pretty much every month, with the exception of a few here, August, September perhaps. There was a big gap here. I don't know where Run 8 version 2 came. Okay, that's the first Run 8.2 update was in February, so it must have. I don't know. I thought it was somewhere around maybe, I don't know what it was. Okay, so this was the first update was in February. Selkirk, and I think I went through this the other day. Then we're looking at various add-on stuff, cars, routes, Waycross, which is an awesome addition, I think. Upgrades, and then here we are, August, October. We had patch 3 or patch 2 or whatever, and there we are. So that's the year. And I mean, looking at that, you might say, okay, well, nothing much. But of course, there's shadows. There's all kinds of different things in some of these updates. So I'm what I'm doing is I'm looking at the time frames in between and what exactly, because there was no buzz any longer, and because more and more people are, I guess you would say, happy enough to run on their own, you don't have as much need to be on servers. 24/7 has changed. For me, 24/7 servers is not necessary, because having a server without trains operating, full or at least close to full capacity, to me is defeating the purpose. Once you get a taste of something, like once you get a taste of the true potential of Run 8 version 2, those standards become very high. And going back or backing off on the way you feel, or backing off on the way you've seen it run before, is a bit of a letdown. And that's kind of where it's been for me. And the only thing, and you know, I've been frustrated, I may perhaps critical, whatever. I don't regret anything I've said. I don't take back. If I hurt anybody's feelings, I apologize. But I don't regret saying anything. I mean, I think I took one video down, and that was, I think, after a lot of issues were taking place, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to take that video down. Um, I remember one time I took a video down. I forget what the heck it was. It was on Mikey's Selkirk route, and it was just screwing up like crazy, and it was driving me nuts. And Mikey was watching it, and he was, he felt bad about it and all that stuff. I felt bad with the fact that he was watching it because I don't broadcast these videos thinking that the Run 8 crews or the Run 8 team are the ones that are my audience. I don't believe they are. Perhaps what's happening, and I don't know, I honestly do not know. Perhaps what's happening is they're getting word by certain people are saying, hey, do you know what Sean's been saying? I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with any of it. Maybe it's just coincidental. I don't know. That's fine and dandy. Like I said, I'm not too worried about that. I said what I had to say afterwards. I posted, I think, on Train Sim, and I posted on my forum, and that was it. There was nothing more at that point. Run 8 will improve. It's it's inevitable that things will improve. There are known issues that they will take care of. We know about that. The question is I've seen things announced before, like literally announced. Like, for example, I always use Alaska as an example. I use the editors as an example. These things were announced before. These things used to appear on the page. And now I think a lot of that has to do with the danger or the fear of putting something up on a page is, and Run 8's not the only developers. In fact, there's some there's a developer for Subsistence who doesn't really say when the next update's going to come. It's kind of like the whole idea of it'll be ready when it's ready. They don't really say too much as to what's going to be in the next update, but they do communicate. Unlike, I would say, unlike Run 8, they actually do communicate with the entire community by going on to the Steam forums and will communicate with everybody on the forum, so everybody has access to it. What another positive about that is he's on the forum, and it is one developer. So this isn't a big team. This is one developer. So you're even smaller than the Run 8 team. One developer, and you've seen my Subsistence videos. That's a kick-ass game. One developer. And I'm not saying it's bigger than Run 8 or anything. It's probably make it. I don't know if it would necessarily make more than Run 8, but it certainly is, in the time it's been around, it's probably more popular than Run 8 just because it has nothing to do with trains, and it's a big survival game. A lot of major YouTubers are out there running it. I get constant YouTube subscriptions and feeds to various people that are running it. Point is, what I'm saying is that's one developer. So just because you're small doesn't necessarily mean you can't do amazing things. And it also doesn't mean you can't communicate with the crowd, and it also doesn't mean you can't take criticism and learn to take it in stride without feeling that your product is going to be degraded or that people are going to tarnish your image because they don't like something. But a lot of the reviews for Subsistence, there's a lot of people that had been complaining about Subsistence before it went multiplayer. And the only reason why I mention all that is because if you're going to be a developer, you're going to have to understand that number one, you're in the business and you make money and you sell a product, but just because you're selling a product doesn't mean you're not going to get criticism, including those that are your biggest supporters. And I've always been one of them. I wouldn't say I'm one right now, and that's only because of how I feel. Nothing more. But that's the way it is. So when, like I said before, when you have everything that was happening, and suddenly I cannot run the way I used to run. Yeah, I can go back to version 1 and do whatever the hell I was doing before. But now I know, but see, things went up to the next level. Everything was leading to something. So I could build on to California or I could look at other routes and it was leading to something. Like the good thing about Waycross is once those issues in Run 8 get fixed, and once the fixes to even get into the one end of the yard that they're going to be working on in the next Waycross update, once those things get fixed, then I should be able to do Waycross. The only remaining issue is going to be, because we don't have that scheduling, that rumored scheduling thing, which may or may not happen, we're still dealing with funky, just spawn any train you want. And if you're by yourself, let's just say you're by yourself or you're with, 2, 3 people, whatever. To have even one person out of a group of 3 be a train master and have to call up and know when to call trains and spawn them at the certain times and stop whatever they're doing so that they can set something to AI or whatever. I didn't catch on to the fact how distracting it was until I ran with Ski one day and I realized how annoying it is to have to look at a freaking schedule, because it just takes you right out of the element. And it's not the schedule that does it. I love the schedule. It's the fact that if you're in a hump yard, you're not supposed to be concentrating on when the next train's going to come. And I was doing this with Selkirk. I was doing it ever since I knew the way that version 2 trains spawn suck. The random system that, and it's a carry on. It's the system I feared was going to happen, because the way I saw the AI dispatcher or whatever the hell it was back on the external dispatcher, that little dispatcher program, you guys, I think it's still there, or you might have remembered. I don't know if it's still part of it, but there used to be a dispatcher simulation. And that basically became the groundwork of what would become the AI system. And, for Mr. Balls, he had that system. It was the same thing. That's exactly what happens as far as the dispatching system. So what you were seeing was basically what they ended up going for. So whatever that little screenshot that was there, they couldn't do it. Something happened. It didn't work the way they wanted. I don't know exactly what the issue was, but they couldn't do it. And because the numbers are down, not just on my servers or other servers that I frequent, but the numbers are down across the board as far as I'm concerned. They really are, and that's because there's no buzz. Yeah, there's loyal people that are still out there praising the product and who love it and who are huge fans. Some people could say fanboys, whatever. Hey, I was a fanboy once too. But at some point, it becomes stale. It really does. And as I said before, without beating a dead horse, and I know I am, but anyways, and I'm going to get on to 2018 in a minute here, because I want to get this, because this is actually kind of depressing, to be quite honest. But 2017, there, I really don't know what to expect for Run 8 in 2018. I really don't have a clue. I have no idea. So from someone, whether or not I'm part of a forum or whatever, from a product standpoint, not even knowing what's coming out, not even knowing what's in the works, or just I think I saw some way, well, stay tuned, more to come, or something like that, in one of the train set systems or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, that's nice. We figured that would happen, but what, where else is it going? And I understand. I got my money's worth. Everybody got their money's worth. That's not the point. The point is if there's some things that are in the program that could be improved to make it even better, to open up new people to the simulator, to open up new things. I can tell you one thing. If I'll tell you this right now, and you might be saying, well, what's in it for Run 8 to make free updates? What's in it for them, basically, not necessarily free updates, but they should have other, I think they should have other payware routes. I think they should have other developers. I think they should open it up to others. Why not? What is it that they're so busy doing? I'm not sure. Maybe they are busy doing something. I don't know. Maybe there's some surprises. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Maybe they're just taking a long desertification. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're burnt out. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I don't know. And that, to me, feels like it's dying. It feels like, okay, well, yeah, okay, so now we got the program, and there'll be other additions to the routes, and we're going to expand our routes, and we're going to just focus on our routes, and that's going to be our main focus, I guess. And we know every will be expanding. What we don't know is, do we have other routes coming? Do we have other developers coming? Is that way of spawning? Like I said, I was impressed with patch 3. They certainly did a lot there, but there's so much room for improvement. The way we used to do RTS, for example, I cannot emulate that unless you're a train master. So unfortunately, I cannot have it spawn created files. I can't have the AI system pick those created files, because I can't have it pick those created files. That's why, for me personally, RTS2 was never a priority for me, because I didn't want to be in the role of train master all the time. If I was in the role of train master, then I could see using RTS2, then spawning created files. But I also had a belief that Run 8 has already had so many cool features coming into version 2 that what was going to happen was they would only improve over time. We've seen some slight improvements to these features. We've certainly seen what I think is one of the biggest updates was in patch 3, where you now have your filters for the various regions. It is one of the biggest updates as far as I'm concerned. Probably not as big as the hump mount when I look back on it, but certainly the biggest update for version 2 as far as I'm concerned. Still, is it going to be enough? And I'm not sure about that now. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? If it's just me, or if it's just a few people, yeah, sure, I can go back to California. And I'll be honest, even running, the only I ran last week, it was okay. All right, it was fun. It's got nothing to do with the server. It's got nothing to do with any server. The only time I've ever had any fun is when I'm not recording and actually on Google Hangouts, and Mikey and I are Mikey, sorry, Mike. There's so many Mikes. Ski and I are just shooting the breeze and talking about whatever's going on. And usually I go that route because that's more fun for me. Fortunately for those who are subscribers, they don't get to see the Run 8 content because now I'm on a standstill as far as what I do. So what happens with Run 8, as far as this channel, as far as what I'm going to do, really all depends upon what Run 8's going to do. I mean, to me, it's going to be up to them what they bring. If they're just going to pump out, more cars and more engines, and their base program is just going to pretty much stay the same, then I don't know. Routes would be a good start. At least with a route, there's a chance that something smaller can be managed. And I know some of you are saying, and I tried this actually, if for those of you who remember the Bakersfield project, I actually tried taking a bigger route and doing a smaller section. Some people say they like doing, just spawning a few trains in the area for what they like and just running that. That's different than running a server or an organized session. When you're running an organized session, I want you to keep this in mind. And trust me, I have the experience of hosting. I know how people are. I've had people not log on to my server because it didn't have TeamSpeak. Think about that for a second. They're worried about a communication system not being supported, and they would not want to be part of my server because I didn't like TeamSpeak and I didn't want to support it. I didn't want to host it. I wanted to stick with text. That's their prerogative. But think about that for a second. Now you add in, say I was the host California. Well, guess what? I sure as hell am not dispatching on my own that whole freaking route. I know some people are doing it, and good luck to them. And it's, I think some of the routes like Seligman are just fleeted. You might get lucky and get a second dispatch. Even when you have two dispatchers, now two dispatchers is not enough as far as I'm concerned. You need three. We used to be able to do two dispatchers before Seligman, but now, yeah, you need three. And with LA coming, you're going to need three. I mean, good luck at trying to get one person to do all that. And that's my concern with California. This thing is becoming so freaking huge. Who knows? Maybe they're developing an AI dispatcher. That's possible. If it happens, well, that's a game changer. But even if it does happen, I think the biggest thing that I would like to see is let's get back to a realistic train spawner, something that was planned at least, or at least thought of at one time, and it was abandoned. And we never know why it was abandoned. I never got an explanation as to what happened, other than something mo better was coming. And that's all I've ever heard. So that to me is going to get me back in the game. Another route might get me back in the game. And the reason why I say another route might get me back in is because if another route shows up, especially something that is not a major corridor, a major transcontinental corridor, having something that's at smaller scale and done well with nice scenery and everything, or in depth and has a personality, as much as I love hump yards and everything, I love the hump yards, don't get me wrong. I love the big systems. I love the big traffic. But it needs people, or it needs to be limited as far as the total size. It has to be manageable. When you start expanding the hell out of it, one person alone cannot do it. And yes, I know a lot of people play single player, or maybe two people or whatever, and they're just happy and they're fine and they're happy. They got their little screenshots. Um, Great, but it's not for me. And I cannot change, enthusiasm or hope for the future can only take you so far. And that's really, for me personally, that's where it really started hitting for me, because then I realized, okay, well, this is why I'm frustrated. This is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was feeling the way. I hated it. I still hate the fact that I feel that way. I still am trying to find my stride. I'm still trying to find. It's horrible. I mean, watching YouTube, I'm worried about my son watching YouTube all the time, and here I was falling asleep 2 nights in a row, Sunday and Monday, watching YouTube. I mean, come on. I got no cable TV. Run 8 was a big part that filled it in, but then, I was getting burnt out with that because it was just, you know, it was just what it was. But having a system, having a nice schedule, having a lot of control for one person, then suddenly it doesn't matter how many people you have, you can still operate. Things will be more realistic. You'll have better control of the yards, better flow of car flow. Once the issues get fixed, which they will. I'm not worried about the issues getting fixed. Those issues will get fixed. It's already been stated, and they'll fix them. They gotta fix them. Well, they don't have to fix them, but they will. So that's not a there's it's never been a doubt in my mind that they wouldn't fix the issues. That's not a question. My thing is, um, I don't think the AI spawner is considered an issue because it works as designed. Unfortunately, it doesn't work realistically. And this is the one thing where everything that prides itself on a realistic simulation, you have that one thing, and to me it is the key in order to me to run prototypically. I need to be able to run a route that isn't too big, like Waycross, that I can manage a yard, that I can basically do my own thing, run a mainline train, whatever the case may be. Although, really, if it's just one person, I'm stuck in the yard, which kind of sucks. But something along those lines, then I'm okay. But I was getting back to a smaller route. If a smaller route comes out and it's contained, like, I don't know, if a developer has a mind of taking some various areas, some various scenic features, like, say, for example, I always thought Fostoria, Ohio would be a good one. Fostoria, Ohio is a very busy place. All you have to do for Fostoria to make that work, think about this for a second. You have an NS main line and you have two CSX main lines. You have F Tower, one of the busiest intersections. You have a massive number of trains. All you have to do in that situation, and there's a lot of yards, there's a lot of industries, but not a lot, but there's enough. You run, I don't know, you run, say for example, you have 20 miles of each line. You don't even have to do every line. NS, you can do maybe a little bit and just focus on CSX. So your NS side, you might, I mean, there's a Blair Yard there. There's a few others. But you take somebody who takes that, who knows the area, like myself, for example, or somebody. A lot of people know Fostoria. There's a lot of information and knowledge about it. It was one of the ones that was recommended back when they were asking for information. They wanted to have an NS, a route that had NS and or CSX, and that was my recommendation. I Yes, they went. Did they go for southeast or northeast or something? I don't know which one they went for, but this was back in the day. They only had California. But that was my recommendation. Go to Fostoria. I'm not saying Fostoria is needed. There's so many places. You just take a nice small area and you do it right. It might have a main line of 30 miles or so. Doesn't have to be huge. Maybe, a nice little flat yard. Astoria doesn't have a hump, but any place, it doesn't really matter. Single track main lines are usually the more interesting. But you can do a double track, and you can do a spur or a main line connected to a short line, or there's all kinds of things you can do to make it an interesting operation. And you have that contained. Here's how it helps a person to build a realistic system, yet still maintain, like build a realistic system but still maintain that system without having to constantly be, I don't know, what's the word, be handcuffed by it, I guess. Because what happens there is you can manage a reasonable size system with reasonable number of industries, with reasonable yards, traffic flows. You can dispatch. You probably dispatch and run trains because you're not running a full dispatch district. Then you can have you will have switching operations where they won't be running all the time, which means you'll have time to switch, you'll have time to run main lines, you'll have time to dispatch, you'll have time to do all kinds of different things. And most of all, you'll have the entire route to be able to do. And this is where the editors, I think, would come huge, because then you're opening it up to all kinds of other people who have talents. I can't tell you how many people have not gone into Run 8 because they didn't have the editors. I mean, you talk about something, and that to me is something they could simply sell as an upgrade or a standalone program to go with it. Sell it, sell it for I wouldn't even sell it for a major price. Sell it for as a utility program, like 10-20 bucks or whatever, but not like a full-fledged simulator program, but sell it as a $10 to $20 add-on, and make sure it's unsupported. Give all the documentation you can, but specify it's unsupported. Is exactly what Microsoft Train Simulator did. You do that, and you have a way of being able to have a system that allows you to add new routes. I'm sure it can be done. These guys are smart enough, they can do it. It can be done. Now you've introduced, now you've taken care of all the people who want to do, not only with routes, but the add-on stuff. You've taken care of the people who want to do mods. You've taken care, even if you don't go so far as the mods and just allow, say, reskins or something. I don't know. Even some reskins would be nice. The ability to do that. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't see why reskins is not. I mean, if Run 8 wants to stick with the physics and make sure the integrity and all that other stuff, well, let them deal with the core models. But reskins, I mean, why not let people play around with reskins. Everybody's already doing it anyway, so, or in version 1. I don't know why it can't, well, can't be done in version 2. But that's, that's just me. I guess that's just my opinions of making it better. So anyways, enough of what's the past. Let's talk about the future now. Like I said though, I don't know what's going to happen. That's in Run 8's hands, and whatever they do, they're going to do because it's their business. For me personally, I've already I haven't been too enthusiastic about doing anything. I think I just needed to take a break. I'm still trying to, I guess I'm still trying to process everything that's happening, process what I really want to do. But I don't think my interest in trains is going away, despite the fact it's not like I'm playing Subsistence every night, because I'm not. Actually, I only play it when my son's around. So I'm not doing it. Microsoft Flight Simulator, I have not touched it. In fact, I haven't touched any other program. I got a lot of other different things. I have not done much of anything. So I'm definitely trying to fill that void. I just haven't done it yet. Tomorrow night will be a decision for me. It'll be a decision depending upon which way I go. I either go on a server and run, and as much as I like to support other servers and as much as I like to just take the emphasis off of me, what I really should be doing, and this is where I get procrastinating as far as getting things down, is to start the process that I wanted to do, and that is the goals for 2018. And that is to develop my own simulator. How bad it's going to be, or how good it's going to be, I don't know. I couldn't even get RTS 2 done. But mind you, I really had no drive to get RTS 2 done because I didn't want to be spawning in trains all the time, and that's really the bottom line. So I had no interest for RTS 2, especially if it was going to become obsolete because of Run 8 coding. And Run 8 really did a pretty good job on a lot of things. Other things they didn't do as well of what RTS had, as far as I'm concerned. But they still were moving in the right direction, at least for that. Like I said before, the only direction that I was always concerned about was the fact that the AI spawner sucked. The AI system itself is fine. I got no problem. I mean, the train doesn't honk at crossings, all the crossings, all the time. Sometimes it to me it stops a little too close to the signals. I mean, little minor things like that. Whoopie-doo. It doesn't matter as long as it works. That's all that matters. I don't care about the physics. I don't care about, it'd be nice to stop for a hotbox detector now and then, but anyway, well, whatever. It does what it's supposed to do. Those are minor things. They don't take away from the enjoyment. But when you are forced to have to be a train master spawning in trains because the spawning system's unreliable, or if you feel you can't do, I mean, I could go back to here. Let me just say this, and I want to be clear about this, because I don't think I've been clear about this one thing. I said before I did a Selkirk project thing, and there's a possibility I may do that. I may go back to something like that. I'll think about that tomorrow. I'll think about that. But I'm not sold on the idea that I would be able to get that I'd be able to get enough people interested in it, and I would be missing out on so many other things that I know the route has, that I feel as though it's not fair to anybody who's running it with me, and it's really, I'm depriving myself. Of course, I'm depriving myself by not even running it, but you know, that's another story. But still, I mean, it's better than nothing, I suppose. Um, but you know, I can't even get into running on somebody else's server. But I guess that has a lot to do with the fact that um, it's no longer my vision. My vision is, you know, even if something's rather compatible or whatever, there's so many other things that just doesn't. Uh, it's difficult. It's difficult to explain. It's difficult to process, but it's something that doesn't feel as real as it once did, or as good as it once did. So for me, it feels like it's regressive. And when it's regressive, then it's very easy to get burnt out. It's very easy to think like, okay, well, why am I doing this? But anyways, I'm getting back into the negative side of things. So what do I do about it? My programming is limited. The medication that I am on for uh, nocturnal seizures, which I get, the last one I had was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not even considered epileptic, but that medication has side effects, and those side effects deal with um, they deal with anything from cognitive to memory, and probably focus as well. And that's where it really plays into me when I'm getting into a project. So 2018 is going to be one of those strange, interesting years. But if I don't do something soon, spring will be here. And mark my words, if spring comes and I don't have something going, it'll never happen. Because once spring comes, that's when things really start to change. Because my my whole goal of 2018 is to get out more, to get the boat out more, do things with the outdoors. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Really, there's not too much. It's not very. It doesn't sound very promising for 2018. I would love to be able to try to deal with the simple 2D style simulator. I know it's nothing compared to a 3D simulator like Run 8, but I think there's possibilities. I would like to deal with AI. I've been getting into videos with AI lately, which is really strange. Um, I kind of got wound up by some of the AI, real world AI stuff, and the pros and cons of that. But having an automated dispatcher or an AI dispatcher, or having an AI be able to switch trains, goes a long way. Not because you want everything to run on its own and be boring, but it allows you to run bigger and better things. It allows you to run these big routes. So if suddenly you have an AI dispatcher, which who knows, maybe that's what Run 8's working on. Maybe they got a little surprise. I haven't heard that rumor, but who knows, maybe they're working on something. I always wanted to do the instead of, if I couldn't do a full-fledged AI dispatcher, at least have an AI assisted dispatcher. So that would um, do things relatively safely within parameters. So I might work on something, you know, really 2D, something 2D, and work on various rules. Um, have some random spawns. I basically show you how a random generator should work, if that makes sense. And who knows, maybe I will do some live streams with it tomorrow. Maybe I'll go through and show you some of the coding that I would be considering on doing it. 'Cause that seems to motivate me. It's either it's if I don't go live stream, or yeah, music's okay, but music doesn't motivate me as much as it once did. So otherwise, it gets really boring, and I work all day, and I just don't really want to be at a computer all this time. I want to have fun on a computer. Programming is not a fun job. Playing is a fun thing. Programming is not fun. For me, it is not fun. I mean, yeah, it's great if you're really, really good at creating stuff and being able to produce stuff with a lot of confidence. I don't have massive amounts of confidence. I have to constantly look back, check and see what a function does, check to see what certain procedures do, copy and paste code from old programs that work. So there's a lot of tedious work involved just to get things rolling. That's why I've opened the door and I've said for people, if they want to come on board and try something, I definitely could use a second income. I'm thinking about heck, if I'm gonna do run 8, well, fine, but then I'm gonna monetize my channel if I do it, and I'll just I'll do as much live streams as I can and try to make them interesting, or maybe I'll just make some cool videos and add sound and you know make it really cool. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, that's all. That's all I got on me for tonight. It's Yeah, I just kind of was breaking. Figured I'd break that open because I hadn't had a video, and I'm not too sure what I'm doing tomorrow. If I'm around, I'm around. If I'm not, I'm not. I'm not sure what I'm doing at this point. I'm just gonna think about things tomorrow, see how good things go by tomorrow evening, and then hopefully, hopefully it'll lead to where I'm headed at least. But we'll see what happens. But I appreciate the support. I've seen some of the thumbs ups are important. Knowing I have the views is important. The subscribers that have come on recently. I certainly do not want to let you guys down. That is not my intentions. I don't want to stop doing something. I don't want to give up on something that you guys want to see and like. But ultimately, I have to be happy. I'm the one eventually that has to be able to sit there and play and enjoy it. Because if I'm not doing it and if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing. I had a post earlier today from Scott, who just basically told me, he said, just take some time off. He says, you'll get the buzz again. He could be right, but I don't know about that because I don't think, I'm not Scott. So we'll see. But I'm still watching what Run 8's doing. I'm still curious as to what they're doing, but as far as doing things with Run 8, no. I have no major interests. The only thing I'm interested in doing is having some fun with friends on Run 8 and maybe running some stuff together and talking, talking people who I'm close with, not just everybody, and becoming a social chat channel. I don't that's why I don't like TeamSpeak, because then it becomes a lot of people who I really don't know that well, and everybody's talking and goofing around, and then it takes away from the prototypical nature of it. What I do like is talking with friends and having usually a one-on-one conversation, or I've had more than one-on-one conversations before, but something that is someone I would consider a friend, who definitely I know personally, uh, like I do in ski, and then we can do stuff. Now he got called away for some work again. So he's canceled his session for this coming Sunday. So I don't know when that's going to be rescheduled. We'll wait and see what happens there. But whenever it is, hopefully I'll be able to make that one. And I don't know if I'm going to live stream it or not. He may be too busy anyways, so I may live stream it anyways. Just because he's going to be busy doing other things besides talking to me. So, anyways, that's all for now. And again, appreciate the support. Comments and questions, suggestions, always appreciated. And feel free to post or any similar questions or whatever on the Wikia, and let me know. Our community is still alive. Might be a little slow, but we're still here despite people who may think we're dead. Not dead yet. Still have a lot in me, still have a lot of ideas, and I am still interested in Run 8. I just have to wait and see where they're taking it, and it's going to be up to them. And as far as anything else, 2018 is a new year, and you know, we're not even in winter yet, so eventually it's maybe I'll get onto something, and I can only get my son to program, and if he can get into this, I'm trying, believe me. He seems a little interested, but he's not quite there yet, but he definitely seems interested, so I'll let you know more about that, hopefully soon. Anyways, that's all for now, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.